Police discovered 053 in the deceased bodies of the couple within the same room. Madeline had died from multiple stab wounds inflicted by Andrew, who had died from a massive heart attack. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation Euclid Class Object SCP-053. SCP-053, also known as the Young Girl, is a small 3-year-old girl. She is capable of basic speech and appears to be slightly above average in terms of mental development. Her personality is generally pleasant, and she rarely seems to get upset. However, she will appear agitated when in a large group. Any and all humans over the age of 3 who engage in eye contact and physical touch, or those who remain around 053 for longer than 10 minutes, rapidly become irrational, paranoid, and homicidal. Most, if not all, of these feelings will be directed at 053, and afflicted subjects will attempt to kill 053 after first killing or driving off all humans visible to them. Those attempting to kill 053 will suffer massive heart attacks or seizures and die seconds after inflicting physical damage to 053. However, 053 has a healing factor that allows her to regenerate almost instantaneously from any wound. According to a recovery log, SCP-053 was discovered on July 10, 2008 in Pennsylvania at the residence of Andrew and Madeline. Police who attempted to interact with 053 also suffered from 053's anomalous effects, resulting in 5 additional casualties before implanted Foundation agents assessed the situation and properly secured the subject. Class A amnestic drugs were administered to all non-personnel involved, including Andrew's parents in Florida, as they had been exposed to information regarding SCP-053 through communication with Andrew. Since June 5, 2004, Andrew had been sending his mother news and updates on SCP-053. They named her as Abby. Below is the documentation log from 4 years ago, first email about Abby, to July 10, 2008, the last email sent out by Andrew to his mother. June 5, 2004. Hey Mom, sorry I haven't emailed you throughout the past month. Things have been pretty busy, but I have great news. You're gonna be a grandma. We found out yesterday that Maddie's pregnant, and we've already started turning the guest room into a baby room. Good thing I got a pay raise last week. We gotta think of the baby now. Hope to hear from you soon. March 7th, 2005. It's a girl. She was born last night around 10 at night. Madeline's water broke as she was going to sleep. We drove to the hospital so fast, I think I almost hit someone. Jesus, waiting for the doctors to deliver her felt like years. Now, as I type this email, she's downstairs, fast asleep in Maddie's arms. We named her Abby, and she's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I'll send pictures soon. March 8th, 2006. Hey Mom, Abby's first birthday was yesterday. Howard and Rachel even showed up. Got to see their niece for the first time. Too bad you and Dad are all the way down in Florida. We'll have to visit when Abby's older. Love you. June 24th, 2008. There's been an accident. We were at the playground and we took our eyes off of her for 1 second, and she fell off of the jungle gym and landed on her head. I saw blood. The doctor said she'll recover fine, but I can't sleep. It is all my fault. June 25th, 2008. The hospital called and said that Abby will have to stay there for a few more days, but she's all patched up and on the fast track to recovery. No brain damage or anything, it seems. I'm just glad my baby is gonna be okay. July 2nd, 2008. Mom, there's something wrong with Abby. I mean, she looks and acts perfectly fine, but I know something isn't right with her. Madeline says she feels it too. We started feeling it after Abby's injury at the playground. We've had the doctors look her over, but as far as they're concerned, they couldn't identify any permanent damage, physical or mental. But I just know there's something wrong with her. July 5th, 2008. We got an email from Dr. Williams today. He says that he's been able to identify problems exist in Abby, but he can't determine if they're physical or mental. It just doesn't make any sense, he says. He claimed that whenever he was around her, he couldn't shake the feeling of wrongness. The staff who were working with him agreed, apparently. He didn't tell us at first because he didn't want Maddie and I to worry, but it appears that he just couldn't keep quiet any longer What's wrong with my daughter? July 9th, 2008. I can't even look at Abby for more than a few seconds at a time now. There's something about her now, and it just shouldn't be. When I'm around her, I just get this awful, indescribable feeling, like I'd rather be anywhere else but next to my own daughter. I try and limit my interaction with her as much as I possibly can. It's terrible. But being around her, it makes me want to throw up. It's inside of her, in her eyes, in her skin, everything about her. I just don't know what it is. July 10th, 2008. I touched her hand. It felt so wrong. Madeline said she felt it too, but she believes that it's something inside of her. I'm gonna kill them both. I'm gonna kill that, and I'm gonna kill that thing. It needs to die. After receiving the last email, Andrew's mother quickly phoned the local police to check on his son. Soon after, police discovered 053 and the deceased bodies of the couple within the same room. Madeline had died from multiple stab wounds inflicted by Andrew, who had died from a massive heart attack shortly afterward, believed to have been caused by 053's anomalous effects. Following this incident, 053 was contained by the Foundation. 053 is to be contained in an area no less than 5 by 5 meters and given adequate room to move. Toys, books, games, and other recreational devices are to be provided and rotated every 3 months. Proper bedding, bathroom, and medical facilities are to be maintained at all times. In addition, 053 is also given 3 meals a day, alongside snacks if requested. Anyone who enters her chamber must wear an eye-covering suit for safety concerns. And while gifts from her are allowed to be accepted, they must be removed from the room. Only one person is allowed in her room in any given instance, and they are only permitted to stay for no longer than 10 minutes. Any sharp objects or firearms are banned from her room, and anyone who begins to act erratically, scream, or attempt to grab 053 are to be removed and quarantined. In a termination test, the Foundation introduced SCP-682 to SCP-053. 682 appeared to be very confused and showed no signs of being affected by 053. Initially, 053 appeared to be afraid of 682 and hid behind a chair in her containment area. 682 then lowered itself to the ground, resting its head on the floor, and spoke after a while. 053 approached 682. And after several seconds of hesitation, she briefly touched SCP-682 before quickly returning to her hiding place. 682 had no reaction. 053 approached 682 and pat its head, causing it to exhale through its forward nostrils. SCP-053 clapped and hopped in place several times before embracing the head of SCP-682. For the remainder of the testing period, 682 did not feel frustrated by spending time with this small child, like he did in every other test. He understood that the child was a hated thing as well, one that had suffered like him. They were alike in that way. He had attempted to break out a few times anyways, to find out where the disgusting researchers were watching from and find out if they had hurt her as they had him. This had, however, frightened 053. So, for the time being, he allowed himself to be decorated with a cowboy hat that was too small. Although he appreciated how oddly pleasant and relaxing it was when her tiny arms hugged his scarred, scaly back and demanded to be carried around. Eventually, 053 grew tired, yawning and rubbing her eyes with tiny fists. 682 lifted the child carefully in his teeth by the back of her shirt and carried her off to bed, placing her gently on the mattress and circling the bed once, twice, 3 times before curling around her in a protective little ring. Soon enough, 053 was fast asleep, and he was her new protector. Connie knew one of the D-Class subjects. Despite being an ex-con, he was a kind, gentle man who abhors violence in any form, which was why it came as a shock when he suddenly grabbed the head of his fellow D-Class from behind and smashed it against the floor, over and over again. Cries and pleas echoed the room as the D-Class begged to be let out while getting his head caved in. Then it got quiet. Violence ensued as the men fell into a frenzy and attacked one another. In the middle of all this, like the eye of the storm, was a young girl, no more than 3 years old, sitting idly and playing with her crayons and coloring book. Connie looked beside him. Dr. Clad appeared undisturbed as he studied the live feed intently. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a tale from the SCP Foundation. Connie noticed the wry smile on Dr. Clad's face as he observed the camera feed of the room. Some were desperately clawing and slamming at the door, while some were busy snuffing the life out of one another. Sir, shouldn't we let them out now? I think we've got enough data on 053's ability. Sir, these men are gonna die. Dr. Clad ignored his assistant, seemingly entranced by the violence the D-Class inflicted on each other in the room. One of them tried to attack the girl, but he was suddenly overtaken by a seizure and dropped dead in front of her. 053 only glanced at him with mild shock, then resumed her coloring. Sir, please, we have to stop now. What? Oh, right. Open the door and get these men out of there. A small team of armored guards rushed into the room. They flashed their shock batons and went to work on the fighting D-Class subjects. Dr. Clad's smile widened as the guards became increasingly violent in their methods. When his baton snapped from the incessant beating, a guard then took off his helmet, held it high with 2 hands, and began pummeling a downed subject. Another used their broken baton as a shank. Amidst the chaos, 053 continued doodling on her Dr. Seuss coloring book, woefully unaware of her effects on these men. This is insane! Sir? Sir? Dr. Clad was enthralled by the scene and was unresponsive to Connie's call. Left with no choice, he pushed the buttons that released knockout gas into the room. Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing? Stop this! Dr. Clad pushed Connie aside and attempted to stop the gas, but it was too late. Everyone inside the chamber, including 053, fell unconscious. This is insanity. It's gone further than it had to. Didn't you see how even our men were almost turning against each other? The look in their eyes? Dr. Clad scoffed. You haven't seen anything yet. You see those injured ones? They're still moving, breathing. Humans are inefficient, nothing compared to what you're about to see next. He then pressed on a button and talked into the intercom. All right, send in SCP-682. Wait, what? 682? You can't be serious. The cell door opened, and the great lizard was forcefully led into it. A heavy-duty chain was wrapped around its neck and limbs. The armed guards struggled to keep it under control while maintaining distance from it. Some of them would shock 682 with electrified staffs to make it move. Dr. Clad then pushed the button. The door closed shut, trapping the men and 682 inside the room. No! What the hell are you doing? The men panicked, and 682 could sense it too, as it began to see the guards waving of the staffs as empty threats, and moved towards them. Get back! He shoved the staff against 682's body. It roared as it was shocked, and then it became aggressive. 682 broke the staff with its powerful jaw, and began to twist and turn violently. The guards who were holding on to the chains were pulled and tossed around by 682's strength. The men were sent flying across the room as it roared. The commotion roused 053. When she saw 682, she gleefully ran towards it, and 682 quieted down to low growls and let the girl embrace it. Now's the chance. We have to open the door now and let these men out. Arrgh! Dr. Clad stunned Connie with a shotgun as he tried to operate the console. I will not let you interfere with my test again. Inside the cell, the guards were becoming violent under the exposure to 053 and attempted to harm her. As they rushed upon 053, 682 roared and protected the girl against the men. Its jaw clamped tightly on the guard's torso, tearing him in every which way. Its tail was powerful enough to break their bones with one swing. The room got quiet within seconds, except for 053's gleeful giggles as she played around with 682. Unbothered despite the room was littered with body parts and half-painted in blood. Connie struggled to get up and was shocked by the horror he saw inside the cell. All this carnage and violence, all because of 682 and a girl. Yeah, she's perfect. She'll be a valuable asset for the Foundation's effort in certain operations. What did you say? Never you mind. For now, This will be reported to the higher-ups. Your insubordination today will not go unpunished. Connie was suspended for a month. When he returned, nobody in the facility greeted him or acknowledged his return. He also found out that Dr. Clad had replaced him with another assistant. One day, Connie overheard a conversation between Dr. Clad and his new assistant. "Yes, sir, everything's in order. But what about the reptile?" "Don't worry about it. The operation will go as planned. Take this." Dr. Clad produced a badge from his pocket and gave it to his assistant. From a distance, Connie could recognize it as the insignia of the Sarkic cult. This should grant you access to the deeper levels of the facility. Good luck. Connie quickly hopped into cover as they turned to leave the area. 1,000 questions started gnawing at Connie. What are they planning? What operation? Why wasn't I informed of any of this? The next day, the facility alert went off. SCP-053 was attempting a breach. An emergency call came through the intercom from the containment facility. It was from the head of security. 682 has breached containment. I repeat, 682 has breached containment. Some of my men were killed, but they were able to track its movement. Signal indicates that it's currently heading towards the Cauldron area. Cauldron? Isn't that Sarkist territory? Dr. Clad closed the call and stormed off immediately. Something isn't right, Connie thought to himself and followed after him. Connie shadowed Dr. Clad through long corridors and arrived at an isolated room within the facility. A holographic projector lit up and showed Dr. Clad's assistant. He was wounded and appeared to be in hiding. Screams and heavy fighting could be heard in the background. "Sir, your plan worked, but I couldn't get out in time. The building has entered lockdown. They started tearing themselves apart within minutes after we arrived. I'm starting to feel really scared. I think they're coming for me." The assistant was suddenly tackled. The camera dropped on the floor, showing people engaged in a chaotic brawl in the facility. The assistant struggled to grab the camera as a frenzied Sarkic cultist had him in a chokehold. "Save me, sir! Please, save me!" Someone hit his head with a bat, and his face dropped in front of the camera. His cold, dead eyes stared blankly at Dr. Clad. Connie gasped when he saw 053 walking across the room in the background, looking around anxiously. What the hell is going on? Why is she there? So you've seen everything. What is this? What's going on? The Sarkic cult has been a pest for a while now. They should have been eradicated a long time ago. And now, I'm just doing what needed to be done. By sending a child to do your bidding? Yes and no. With the girl around, they'll simply go mad and tear themselves apart like the animals they are. We won't have to lay a single finger on them. And when it's done, 053 will be transported back to our base, like nothing ever happened. Complete deniability. It's genius, don't you think? No. You've gone insane, Doctor. I mean, look at her. That poor girl, she's clearly afraid of whatever's going on over there. And yet, here you are, completely unfazed by everything that's going on. Oh, you don't have to worry about her safety one bit. Look, on the screen, 053 looked happy as 682 suddenly burst through the wall and started mauling the cultists to death. When the rampage was done, the room was littered with severed body parts and painted with blood all over. 053 and 682 then snuggled up against each other, unbothered by the surrounding devastation. How will you explain that then, huh? How will you recover the reptile without raising alarms? Your plan is flawed, Clad. Huh, that's where your part in the plan begins. You see, you're the fall guy here. Complete deniability, yes, but it doesn't apply to you, unfortunately. Dr. Clad put on a mask as the door shut. Knockout gas was released, slowly filling up the room. You bastard. Connie took a swing at Dr. Clad, but the latter simply took a step back and evaded the punch. Connie was weakened by the gas and fell onto the ground.
Ever wondered why no one talked to you after you came back? That's right. You've been terminated, unofficially. An outsider who should not be spoken to about the Foundation's work.
You won't get away with this.
But oh, I will. The Foundation is a big organization, and you are nothing but a single cog further down the system. No one will even realize that you're gone. You've always been a pain, a liability in the way of progress. All right then, it's time for your nap.
Connie could feel his consciousness fading as his energy was slowly being sapped away. On the screen, the girl noticed the camera and walked towards it. She picked it up and began playing with it with 682.
When you wake up, you won't remember any of this, but you'll find yourself cold, alone, and miserable in an orange jumpsuit. Then you'll finally start making real contributions to the Foundation. I'll see you again in the labs.
It was Abby's 3rd birthday. On such an occasion, it was normal to be surrounded by the bodies of one's family. The entire living room was a mess though. The birthday girl, however, was unbothered. As long as she had Lizzie, her stuffed lizard plush doll, she was happy. Her father, Andrew, seemed to have calmed down somewhat.
Abby, my sweetheart, I will do anything to protect you.
He noticed his brother, Abby's Uncle Paul, still moaning weakly on the floor. Andrew lunged towards the injured man like a wild animal.
Don't you touch her. Die!
And then there was silence. When Andrew finally calmed down, he looked at his bloodied, shaking hands.
What have I done?
He looked over to his daughter, having the time of her life playing with her inanimate companion. Rage began to take over his senses.
You made me do this. This is all your fault.
Andrew got up and walked towards Abby with his arms trembling madly.
Die, you witch!
Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a tale from the SCP Foundation. March 6, 2005. It was the happiest moment in the lives of Andrew and Madeline. The young married couple was about to head to bed. Suddenly, Madeline stopped and looked up at Andrew.
I think my water broke.
Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. I'm gonna get you to the hospital right now. Hang in there, honey. Liz, stay still.
Before, Andrew and Madeline had been trying forever. When their doctor told them the good news, they couldn't be happier. But now was a whole other level. They rushed to the hospital as fast as they could, so fast that Andrew almost hit someone on the road. Waiting for the doctors to deliver their firstborn felt like years. Anxiety and excitement filled Andrew's mind, almost drowning him. Fortunately, the sound of a baby's cry broke the silence, and all he felt was bliss. Andrew was then called into the delivery room to be reunited with his wife and their newborn daughter.
Oh, honey, isn't she lovely? That's our daughter. She's so beautiful. Abby. We'll name her Abby.
Everyone from both sides of the family was there to welcome Abby home for the first time.
Here, Liz. She's going to be your sister from now on. Look at her.
While everyone was cooing and teasing the newborn, Liz, the family dog, barked at her aggressively while slowly backing away. It then whimpered pitifully and dashed out of the room. One day, Liz vanished without a trace, leaving Abby heartbroken and yearning for its return. Her only playmate was forever gone. The next day, Andrew and Madeline brought Abby to a toy store in hopes that a gift would lift her spirit. Teddy bears, dress-up dolls, none of them seemed to pique Abby's fancy. Then she saw it. A gray, drab-looking lizard plush on the top shelf. Abby's eyes would not move away from it, as if an unspoken connection had formed between her and the toy. Andrew reached up and got her the plush. Abby embraced it with affection. She smiled and whispered to her new companion,
Lizzie.
However, the way their daughter looked at her new toy made Andrew and Madeline feel incredibly uneasy.
There's something inside of her. A ghost crawling its way out, taking over her mind day by day. She's a witch. Wait, no, she's my daughter. I must be tired.
And thoughts like these began to surface more frequently, not just for Andrew, but the people around Abby as well. It only got worse after an accident in the local park that got her hospitalized for weeks. Since then, the married couple couldn't even look at their daughter for more than a few seconds at a time. There was something wrong about Abby, and it shouldn't be. Andrew would rather be anywhere else but next to his daughter. Madeline also tried her best to limit interactions between her and Abby. While preparing dinner, the young mother would sometimes imagine herself hurting Abby. In a similar fashion, Andrew would sometimes hear his own voice whispering into his ears.
Sheesh, a witch.
I don't know what to do, Andrew. I feel horrible. She's my daughter. But I can't help but to get these morbid thoughts. Being around her, it makes me want to throw up. There's something inside her. In her eyes, in her skin, just everything about her. I just don't know what to think or do anymore.
Abby struggled to make friends in kindergarten, and they avoided her like the plague. The teachers would also exclude Abby in their activities whenever possible. One time, Abby's teacher, Miss Penn, couldn't resist her malicious impulses anymore. She tried to strangle her in front of the class. As soon as she laid her hands on Abby's neck, she dropped to the ground. Just like that, she was no longer breathing. After an investigation by the police that led nowhere, the case was closed. It was reported as an incident involving an abusive teacher who suddenly died of a heart attack. But deep down, Andrew and Madeline couldn't help but to feel fearful and deathly anxious. They knew that the teacher's death wasn't simply a heart attack. It was more than that. They knew that Miss Penn felt it too. They were convinced that she heard those evil voices inside her head as well, gnawing at her, encouraging her to act. And act she did. Would the couple end up the same way if they had given in to these voices? They shuddered to the thought. Soon, a new teacher came in, but Abby was once again shunned in class, avoided by both students and teachers alike. Months later, Andrew and Madeline organized a birthday party for Abby, with many of their family members attending. Minutes into the party, Andrew noticed that the atmosphere was beginning to shift. At first, it was bright and lively. Everyone was laughing and singing. Then, just after Abby blew the candles, everyone was watching the birthday girl with the familiar blank look on their faces, which Andrew recognized all too well on his wife. It didn't take long for Uncle Paul to act. As he picked up the statue bust on the shelf nearby and made his way towards Abby, Andrew tackled him to the ground without a second thought. Chaos soon followed, and the party guests turned violent. They grabbed whatever they could find and used them as weapons to brutalize each other. Andrew and Uncle Paul wrestled on the ground. Blows were exchanged, but Andrew was soon overpowered. Madeline tore down the birthday banner and strangled Uncle Paul from behind, giving Andrew an opportunity to attack his brother.
Abby!
Andrew turned around frantically, trying to locate Abby amidst the chaos. The birthday girl was simply playing with her plush toy, unbothered by the sheer violence and fighting surrounding her.
Abby, I'm coming! Hold on!
Someone ambushed Andrew and struck him in the head. It was Madeline, with that same unhinged, crazed look on her face, holding the palm-sized bust.
You're trying to kill Abby, aren't you? Aren't you? I'll protect her. Yes, as her mother, I'll protect her. I'll kill you!
You crazy woman!
Andrew caught Madeline's arm as she charged at him once more with the bust. He wrenched it off her hands and pushed her to the ground. Mad Madeline was pinned down by her equally mad husband. Andrew raised the bust above his head, and with both hands, he brought it down against his wife with all of his might, over and over again. The situation died down after a moment. Madeline had also ceased to move. After realizing what he had done, anger and fury overcame Andrew as he turned his attention towards Abby.
You made me do this. This is all your fault.
Andrew snatched Abby's plush toy and pushed her down. She watched as her father tore Lizzie into pieces. Then he turned his deranged gaze at her. Just before Andrew could strike, he dropped to the ground and started choking. His body went limp as his heart gave out, and that was the end of it. Abby sat there, all alone in the house, surrounded by a sea of corpses. The Foundation arrived and recovered her later that day. Since then, Abby was designated SCP-053, and was confined in a sterile cell with a hard bed and some toys. Every day, she would undergo strenuous experiments where subjects would attempt to harm her and then die of heart attack. Even if they did manage to hurt her, 053 would regenerate from any wound instantaneously. It was a chance encounter when she caught a glimpse of SCP-052. It was engaged in a fight with another anomaly. Both of them made eye contact for a split second, and 053's eyes brightened up.
Lizzie.
And as fate would have it, 682 breached containment and killed everyone in the facility. It then made its way toward 053. She wasn't scared when the immortal lizard broke through the cell wall. "Lizzie," she said in her tiny voice, filled with happiness,
Do you want to go out and play? And then go back to my home?
682 growled amicably and let 053 climb on top of it. Together, they made their way past the mountain of dead Foundation personnel, and out into the open world they went, where 053 could have her birthday party once more. The sun had finally set. It was nearly dark, save for the flickering headlights of the crashed car illuminating the void ahead. I pushed over the car door and we scrambled out. Our hearts, saved for 053, beat anxiously as the roaring of the pursuing cruiser grew closer and closer, and then it died, replaced by heavy footsteps and the clinking of spurs. Smokey had arrived. I peeped from behind cover and could only see a pair of floating red eyes. We held our breath as the radio in the crashed car buzzed alive as Smokey's threat came through.
Come out, wherever you are.
What do I do?
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5?
Now I'll tell you the truth. In all this excitement, I kinda lost track myself. But it doesn't matter, because
The fugitive winced as he heard the cocking of the gun.
this thing right here is a semi-auto.
It don't matter how lucky you feel, you're going down, boy.
The ghostly state trooper fired his gun wildly about, briefly illuminating the surrounding with the muzzle flashes.
I'll go tell him off. If I'm nice, he will listen to me.
I stopped 053 to protect her from Smokey, or the other way round. I couldn't risk Smokey going insane. He'd be tearing at her, and one of them wouldn't be walking away alive. Plus, that gave me an idea. Ooh, hang on, I got this.
Oh, I knew you had a plan. Wait, why are you relaxing?
He became panic again as I relaxed, letting my focus loose and let the girl work her magic. Soon enough, the fugitive became enraged. All right, now go get them, Tiger. With an encouraging pat on his back, the fugitive emerged and faced down Smokey.
Decided to show yourself, huh? A cornered rat has nowhere to run after all.
Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a tale from the SCP Foundation. The young girl was on the loose again. After the altercation between her and the mannequin, the reptile friend of hers, Lizzie, crashed the party and made a huge ruckus, leaving behind few dead bodies and buttload of property damage. The whole place was on lockdown. 053 and 682, the dynamic duo has done it again. The team back at the Foundation tracked her down to this neck of the woods. To avoid more deaths, and seeing how I was the only non-reptile able to befriend the girl without suffering a heart attack, I decided to recontain her on my own. Take a drive and soak in the sights. Not that there was much to soak, nothing but sand and more sand. Asphalt road that stretched into infinity. No clouds served to mitigate the heat and light anywhere. How the hell did a girl like that wander off so far from the city? A glimmer in the rear-view mirror shattered the monotony of the drive, and I caught sight of a car tailing me from a distance. A distorted dance in the heat haze of the horizon. A cop cruiser. Trouble was written all over it, the kind you can smell from miles away. I remember reading a report saying something evil's lurking about this area. Can't remember. Then I saw her. A lonesome girl with her doll, walking alongside the road, unbothered by the heat and rolling dust. I eased up next to her, killed the engine, and stepped out into the scorching heat. "Hey there, girl. I've been looking for you."
Rubber! Hi!
She was glad to see me, a wide, innocent smile, and not a single drop of sweat on her face. "It's time to go home, sweetheart. It's getting late soon, and almost time for supper."
But Lizzie promised to come to me. He was chasing around some of his friends and told me to go ahead and said he'll come play with me.
Friends? She meant the poor soul sent to recontain 682. Lizzie's back in his room now. We can take you to him and play after we get back, okay?
Really? Yay!
Then a familiar face scrambled into the front of us, seemingly out of nowhere in this god-forsaken place.
Help!
Wait a minute. I've seen you somewhere before. Oh, I remember now. You're the wanted man who's all over the news.
Yeah. The murder of 3, arsonist, jaywalker, the whole package. A true heartbreaker, you know? But listen, I'm being chased and you gotta help me.
Why should I? And who's chasing you anyway?
I'm being chased by God, man.
Yeah, no surprises there.
You don't get it, man. It's not just any cop. He's a ghost, a demon. He's got these terrible red eyes and at the mouth stretches wide like.
His expression began to shift, and I'd recognized it. 053 was working her charm again, even though it wasn't her call to make. What a terrible curse for an innocent soul.
Oh, he brings me back. The screams. Her look before she died.
He turned his attention towards the clueless young girl. I had to act fast, otherwise he'd be dead before he even laid a finger on her. I grabbed his face and focused. "All right, look at me, calm down." And I was able to veer him off from 053's influence. Crisis averted. As long as I kept my focus, the fugitive should stay sane.
What was that? 1 second she was normal, and the next she became a witch? A voice kept telling me to kill her? Behind you!
He pointed towards behind the girl and I, and there was the cruiser from before. A beefy state trooper, just as the fugitive had described, emerged from the vehicle. SCP-053, Smokey. It's all coming back to me. This area belonged to that ghostly state trooper that manifests when it gets dark. The Foundation took a swing at containing Smokey, but they whiffed, and I sure as hell wasn't stepping into that ring.
Found you. You can run, but you can't hide from the law.
His spurs clinked each time he took a step forward.
And who might you fellers be? His compatriots, I assume.
Well, not really, but don't you worry. We'll be out of your hair now. I'll take the man with us, and everything will be fine.
I don't think so. You have a funny look about ya. I could sense trouble brewing the moment I set eyes on ya. And you, girl.
Then, his expression turned horrid as he spotted 053, just like the fugitive did.
Foul witch. Stay back. One move from you, and you'll go straight to the gallows, I swear to God.
The way Smokey was backing away told me he's seen the girl's horrifying vision. That smile of hers, stretching ear to ear, eyes darker than the abyss itself. Even the void would flinch from staring back. His own voice whispering into his ear.
Kill her.
Smokey clutched and clawed at his head, a desperate attempt to dig out his own voice rattling inside his head.
What is happening? Is this going crazy?
Now's the chance. Come on, let's go. It was about damn time we leave his turf. We hopped into my car and hit the road. We hadn't gone far before the radio started buzzing, and Smokey's voice screeched through the static.
Run, boys, run! Y'all going down.
Smokey's cruiser was right on our tail, with siren and flashers on. He had taken out his gun and started shooting at us. A bullet whizzed by my skull. It was too damn close for comfort, and for a moment, I lost my concentration. The fugitive had lost his marbles again.
Stay away!
He tried desperately to grab the wheel. Whoa, stop! You're gonna kill us all! And we crashed. It was dark out when I came to. Smokey was in his element.
I just hoped my plan of sending the fugitive into a berserker state would work against Smokey.
Decided to show yourself, huh? A cornered rat has nowhere to run after all. Big mistake.
Smokey pulled the trigger, but the barrel spat out nothing but hollow clicks.
Hell's bells, it's
The fugitive rushed forward and tackled Smokey into the ground, all thanks to 053's anomalous effect. But he was pushed away with ease as Smokey regained his footing.
Oh, you've just assaulted an officer. That's a felony. You're entering a world of pain, boy.
Smokey whipped out his baton, but the fugitive wasn't fazed at all. As they stare each other down, a showdown was about to happen. Well, good thing I've prepared for this. Want some?
This is just like movie night.
Fugitive on the run versus a ghost state trooper. Truly the battle of the century. They fought all night, exchanging blows tirelessly with Smokey having the upper hand. When they became tired, all I had to do was to just send 053 near them. Be a dear and offer them some refreshment, won't you?
Want some popcorn?
As expected, just being near them was enough to re-energize their hatred for each other. Then it was sunrise. Are they still fighting? They were still fighting, and the fugitive was losing.
I've seen a lot of your kind. Goddamn criminals who always escape the goddamn law. So I said, screw the law. I'll serve my own justice. In the sense that I never broke the law. I am the law.
Just as Smokey was about to deliver the final blow, he disappeared as soon as the first light of day peeked through the dark sky. Well, I guess that's that then. Let's go back now.
Hey,
The fugitive called out, waddling feebly.
did I win? I got to know.
He fainted before I could tell him how much of a beatdown it was. The guy had a kind of resilience that screamed Prime D-class material. Now, all that was left was to kick back and wait for the cavalry to roll in, ready to whisk us away to a well-deserved breakfast.
We hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. Have a favorite SCP you want to see on this channel? Leave us your suggestions in the comments down below. In the meantime, if you'd like to see more SCP content, then check out some of our other videos right here. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.